Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the concept working capital management. Now, working capital management is actually a measure which talks about that how much liquid assets are available into the business. It is basically a short-term loan which provide money to buy earning assets. It actually allows the funds to be available for the unexpected opportunities. The positive working capital is always required to ensure that your firm is into the good operating conditions and they have sufficient funds to manage both your short-term debt and upcoming operating activities. Now, the an increase in working capital, basically it will be indicating that your current assets which includes your cash and are more and your current liabilities are less. That means you are paying off well to your creditors. Now, decisions relating to working capital and your short term financing is known as your working capital management. Your short term financial management is concerned with the decisions regarding your current assets and your current liabilities. Management of working capital requires the management of your current assets as well as your current liabilities. If your current assets are less than the current liabilities, that means you have a deficiency of your working capital and vice versa. Now, the goal of working management is basically to ensure that the firm is able to continue its operations and it has sufficient cash flow with them to mature their short-term debentures as well as their upcoming operating expenses. Your business will be able to make sure that they don't have the pressure of cost with them much, and they are able to pay off all their liabilities on time. Now, active working capital management is very effective into your enterprise. Optimizing working capital will result to a rapid release of liquid resources and contributes to an improvement in the free cash flow. Now, there are two terms always. There's a cash inflow and there's a cash outflow. When we talk about cash inflow, that means your cash is coming in. When you're talking about cash outflow, your cash is actually moving out. So how best you are able to manage your working capital with reference to your operating business of the concern talks about your working capital management. Now, the basic fundamental what we talk about is investment into your current assets represents that you have substantial portion of your total investment. Investment in current assets and the level of current liabilities always generate that there is a quick change into your sales. Now, there are two kind of working capital what we talk about. One is your gross working capital and another one is your net working capital. When we talk about your gross working capital, that means the total amount of working capital which you have either gathered, either you have taken out from your profits or you have managed from your funds. The difference between your current assets and current liabilities is actually known as your net working capital. Then the next one, what are the different kind of current assets are there? So you have inventory, that is your stock, you have debtors, you have cash and bank balances, you have short-term loans and advances, and in the same way you have a current liabilities, that is your sundry creditors, your short-term loans, your provisions of your debenture, provisions of your taxations or provision for your depreciation, anything whatever they have given to you which can fall under the short term aspects will be part of your current liabilities. Now, there is another term which is known as that is your operating or the cash cycle. Now, cash cycle talks about is that how best your cash is moving into your business, starting from the operations, from the inventory to the receivables and getting it in the form of your cash. So the movement of cash basically talks about cash to inventory, inventory to receivables, receivables back to cash. This is actually known as your cash cycle and it is also known as your operating cycle. Okay. There's another concept that is your permanent working capital and to your variable working capital. Now, minimum amount of current assets in the form of cash you are supposed to always maintain, that is known as your permanent working capital. And there are certain expenses which, come what may, will always happen into your business. So to maintain all those expenses and to maintain all that business operations running, there is a concept called as your permanent working capital. When we talk about your variable or fluctuation working capital, that is based on the seasonal changes. When there's a seasonal changes happening during that particular period of time, the fluctuations of your operating expenses will also happen, which will lead to your variable or fluctuation changes, or fluctuation working capital requirement will change according to that. Thank you.